I just had to get a replacement T-piece. This one that came with the bobble system just doesn't seem to be... I can't stop the leak, basically. Every time I turn on the water, it's leaking through a part, and I think it's this. I don't think it's the pipe, because I've retrimmed the pipe using these, so it's a really clean cut, but it keeps leaking water, so I've just replaced it. I did order a brass one from Amazon, but I nipped down to the local chandlery down at the marina, and I managed to get a plastic one, which I don't think should be too much of an issue. It's not like it's ultra high pressure system, and there's even plastic pieces like the isolator's plastic, so surely it should be okay. Right, so if I just turn this isolator, we shall see what happens. We're really excited to be bringing you a paid partnership with BetterHelp. I'm so glad that I get to talk to you about better mental health and how you can achieve it. As a family, we've had plenty of mental health challenges, plus thrown to the mix the everyday stresses of life, such as having kids, a day job, trying to stay on top of your mental load, and you'll soon find sometimes we all just need a bit of extra help to get our mental health back on track to a more calm and fulfilling, happier life. The BetterHelp service is so easy to use. You just answer a few questions and it matches you to a credentialed therapist who you can chat to either online, on the phone, or even via video call. It's really easy to get signed up to this service. The link is on the screen now, or just click on the link in the description below. Clicking that link also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. We've been hugely touched by the impact that this service has had already on some of our subscribers. We've been lucky enough to see the messages from subscribers describing BetterHelp therapists as kind and professional, actively listening whilst they vent, and insightful in their advice. And I know that Lizzie has hugely benefited from her therapist, and that's why we're so happy to recommend them. And if ever you feel like your therapist isn't quite right, which is fairly common when you first start therapy, BetterHelp makes it super easy to switch to a new therapist. So I really hope that this partnership with BetterHelp can help our subscribers live a happier and healthier life, just like they've helped over 4 million others already. Once again, the link is in the description below. Just click on that and you'll get 10% off your first month. And thank you again for BetterHelp for working with us. In fact, let's just get some blue roll under that, because that shows it much quicker. Good. No leak there. No leak at all. Nice. Turn a bit more. You can hear the tank filling up with water. Can you hear the pump? That's the pump working. Water is rushing in through this cold water pipe, through this hose, through the isolator, which I've not fully opened yet. It's still only halfway. And then it goes in here and basically round the system and into the cold. In fact, it goes that way, sorry. It goes round and into the cold. So it's filling this tank up. This is a 10 litre tank. You can just see here. At the minute, I'm filling this up, but I've not actually connected. You can see a lot of the cables are not connected. These ones are, so it should work on 230 volts. So this is what I'm testing right now. I've also cut a hole all the way through down into the bottom, and this is the drain. So we can, if I press this button, in fact you'll see here, you can see water drains out through the bottom. So that's like a high pressure release valve as well. So it basically gives us protection. If anything gets too high, the pressure gets too high, it'll release out through there. But also it gives me, freedom. If something starts leaking quite quickly, I can just press that button and it will drain everything out of the tank into there. That's what I was doing when I was trying to get this brass T-piece working. Every time it started leaking, I just quickly pressed that button and it drained everything out of the tank and just stopped tons of water going everywhere. But yeah, this blue rag is dry, which is good. I think this residual water here is just from yesterday when I was trying to get that brass piece working. There's no leak in that connector that's down there. That's from the cold feed, from the actual cold feed that I put in into the bobble system. That's the tap fully open. That must be full now, that tank. So what I've done is I've done a very rough makeshift cable that runs all the way back, and I'll show you where that goes, but that's connected onto the 230 volt side of the water tank. So basically, you'll see on the side here, there's an AC heating light and a DC heating light. We won't be able to get it heating from the DC side because I've not connected all that up, but I'm just hoping I can get the water heating from the AC side. That might be a leak there actually. It annoyingly looks like it might be seeping a bit of water from the top of that isolator. Right, it's quite a mess in here. But basically what I've done is I've run that cable. As you can see, it's just clipped along the top there for now. And it runs into the bottom of the Easy Plus Compact. The Easy Plus Compact has a specific breaker on it that's marked boiler. So it's designed for any system that you want to put on the electrical circuits that only works when you're plugged into mains hookup. So it's basically for anything that's a high power load. Now, not that the bobble system is actually that high power really, it only requires a 5 amp breaker. Basically what that's designed to do is just stop your battery getting completely drained. So the boiler, how it's wired now, will only work when we're on the 230 volt plug-in system. So if you arrive at a campsite and plug the van in, it will only work using that for now, until I put all the DC side and until I connect all the DC side up. Hope that makes sense. So basically, if we were off grid, we wouldn't have hot water at the minute. If we are plugged into a campsite, we will have hot water if it works. The big thing I need to do now is plug the van in, switch it on. At the minute, the cable runs from the Easy Plus Compact across underneath the bed straight into the boiler. Now, providing that it all works as I expect it will do, what I'm going to do is tidy all the cables up, get it all running nicely, and then I'm actually also going to put a switch near the boiler. So basically the breaker can be turned on and left on, and then you just turn the isolator on and off underneath the rock and roll bench seat. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, let's plug the van in and see if it works. Now, obviously make sure you fully unravel your cable. The only reason I haven't done that is the very low powered load that is going to be on the actual cable, so I'm quite happy with it like that. Right, the slightly scary moment of truth. Switch on the input, switch on the output. So that switch is on the supply that I've just plugged in. That switch is on the feed, the RCD to these breakers. And then it's a case of turn this boiler one on and hoping that I've not wired it up wrong. Okay, I wonder if I need to turn that on. I can't remember now. I think that's just the inverter. Just switched over to charger. Let's go and have a look at the water tank, see what it looks like. Well, I must have done something right, because the light is on for AC heating. Now, it's currently set, this controller will control the temperature of the water when it's been fed by the 230 volt system. So it's currently, you can see low, that's high, and it's pretty high. So it's just a waiting game really, and let's see if it heats up. That, interestingly, this has stopped leaking now that I've closed it a bit. So I'm just going to monitor that. I wonder if that's open enough to allow enough water in. I'm sure it is. I don't think it'll make much difference. As long as water can get into the tank, that's the main thing. And then the only other thing I need to check is, it's quite hard to see some of these connectors. Like there's a connector underneath underneath this pipe work, which is quite hard to see, but it was just a bit tight trying to fit all this in. But I can't see any water, so that's a bonus. Right, whilst this is heating up, I'm going to show you what else we've done. Now, those of you that have been keeping up to date will know that in a previous video I installed this Vandermoon overhead box, and in addition to that I have now fitted this reading light. I had originally thought I was going to put it up actually attached to the Vandermoon box, but then I remembered, well, when I came to do it, I noticed that obviously you got all these pockets that will be in the way. You wouldn't be able to use these pockets if I screwed that through the bottom. So I actually ran the cable through the back of the box and down into the side here, and I've mounted it on the side there. And these are really cool actually. You've got a USB port on the bottom. It's a USB-A port on the bottom there. They're in a nice black metal finish, and then you just press this button once and it turns the USB port on, and then press it again and you've got your reading light. And you can angle this, turn it, put it where you want. I've been using it as a spotlight to work on the boiler down the bottom there. But yeah, the actual main aim for those will be a reading light for when you sat here in the evening. But yeah, I like that. It gives you an option to charge things, but also a bit of ambient lighting at night time. And then you just press it again to turn it off. Now those reading lights are actually from Lighting. They're the same people that supplied the spotlights that go through the roof there. They gave these to us absolutely ages ago. I've had them in the garage stored for a while, and I've got another two that will actually go at the back of the van above the bed. And you can see here how simple they are to actually wire in. Just have a red and black cable, and then this bit unscrews. Oh, in fact, yeah, you have to undo that little Allen bolt there first. Once you've undone that, it then releases this little ring, and you screw the ring onto the wall, and then just fit the actual light over the top and do that Allen bolt back up again. And it comes with the Allen key and the screws and everything. So these are great. Like I say, these are from Lighting. They'll be linked in the description below, so make sure you check them out if you are building your own van. Even if you've got your own sort of coach-built motorhome or something like that, you can upgrade your lights quite easily from Lighting. They do all sorts of different ones. Highly recommended. Now, I really apologise for the mess in the van, because it is properly at that real messy stage where just getting all sorts of little jobs done. Obviously there's tons left to do, but often when you're mid-swing building something, the last thing you want to do is think about putting all the tools back in the right place. Well, certainly for me anyway. So yeah, it's quite a mess in here. Right, talk about other jobs that I've done. You can see the red pipe. The red pipe runs, this is for the hot water, runs all the way up, basically follows the cold water feed up the side, up the side of the van, and then up the back. This will all be boxed in with a shower room. At the minute, you can see they run underneath the bed. I was just need to get everything checked before I clip it all back in, because amazingly, these white pipe clips here, they're an absolute nightmare to open. Once you've shut that little lid, it is so difficult to get them open. So at the minute, the pipe work is basically just slung underneath the van. You can see two isolators here. So this is where it taps off the cold and the hot water into what will eventually be the shower. So they're just isolators. If I open them, I'd get very wet. The pipe work runs up to the side of this like bulkhead that I fitted, comes out the other side of the van and runs underneath the kitchen, alongside like the gas pipe and a few electrical cables, and then up and into, you can see the tails of the tap, and I have actually fitted the tap. Now, what do you think to that? This is really, really nice tap. This is just from IKEA. So yeah, just a real simple, there's no like extension bit, just because the problem with taps that have a pull out bit and then recourse back in is you need plenty of clearance behind, because there's like a weight that drops down behind the drawers, and there isn't a huge amount of space behind the drawers. So I didn't want to constantly sort of pull that hose bit out, and then when I try and put it back in, it just gets caught on things and doesn't recoil back in. So I didn't want one of those. I wanted a real simple tap with one actual control for it, so hot and cold mixer is all in there. And the beauty of it is when you open the sliding door all the way out, you can actually rotate that round and fill up water outside. So obviously that's where those pull out ones are quite good, because you know, you could shower the dog, things like that if you needed to. But yeah, I just don't like the idea of not being able to recoil it back in again. So this works quite nicely for us. And the good thing about the tap is it actually works. So at the minute it only works for cold water, because that's all I've tested it with. And I'll show you what else I needed to do to get that working. Now there's actually some sunshine, which is a pleasant change here in the UK. Right, those of you that have been watching for absolutely ages will know that I installed this overarch water tank a long time ago. But a recap for those that maybe don't know, that is a 100 litre overarch water tank. It's all bracketed to the metal of the actual van. But what I needed to do to be able to fill it with water and get it all prepped to actually try the tap for the first time was, first of all, I had to get some method of actually filling it up. So this is a sort of reinforced pipe that is food grade, and it goes up to this board that I've built at the back here. What I've used is a bit of framework. This is all going to be boxed in eventually. A bit of framework, and then I put a board on the back here, and then fitted this. This is actually a Fiamma water filler cap. It's lockable, not that we necessarily need it to be lockable. Let's hope we don't lose the key, hey? And basically what you do is you open that, attach your hose inside, just drop it in there, and then fill it with water. The water then runs down that pipe and into the side of the water tank. As you fill up a water tank, obviously the air gets replaced by water, and you have to have some form of breather. So this is a breather pipe, and that goes all the way back up and connects again onto that actual water filler. You can see it here. There's a little air hole there. So basically, as you fill it up, air escapes and stops the tank from blowing up, which is quite nice. So I had to fit that, and again, that is all just Jubilee clipped on to the actual filler. And so, yeah, you can fill the tank up nice and easy. It takes a long time. I have tested it all the way up to max, and it takes a long time. Just to finish off everything down here, we have an isolator, so you can turn that off, and that will isolate the water, keep the water in the tank, and allow you to work on these items here. The water goes through this T-piece, and it either carries on to what at the minute is just sort of a drain isolator, so I can just put that outside and isolate the system, drain the water out, and then that empties the water tank completely without going through the pump. But I actually have something coming on the way, which is like a hose attachment, which I plan to put on this back board here, and then that will give me an attachment to put a hose out and actually use a shower. I'm just wondering whether it's going to work if I just attach it to that drainage hose, so bypassing the pump, or whether I actually need to run it through the pump. I don't know if there'll be enough pressure. There probably will be enough pressure when the water tank is completely full to be able to run that hose. But failing that, if I do need to run it through the pump, what I will do is I'll keep this just as a drainage hose, that bit there, and then as the water system runs through the pump and through the accumulator, it then goes into this 90-degree bend and goes off all around the system. What I'll do is I'll just put a T-piece in here and come off here and into the back of this board to allow me to have a pressurized hose, which will probably be the better idea. But we shall have a look at that when the actual hose attachment arrives. Another awesome thing that's been connected up is, you can see just on the top of the tank there, that bit is actually the water level sender. So there's a big tube that goes down with a float on it, and as you fill up the water, the float goes up, and I've actually connected that, and that goes all the way, again, it needs tidying up, but it goes all the way across the bottom of the bed and into the Serbo GX. And then what that allows you to do, now this is just me accessing the Serbo GX via the remote console, so basically accessing it via the internet. We will eventually install the screen that will be mounted somewhere in the van, you'll be able to see it. But you can see there, that is the fresh water tank level. So it actually works. Fantastic. I am so pleased that that works. It just measures different resistance levels depending on where that float is on the actual tube, and then translates that into a resistance reading that the Serbo GX works out and translates it to a level in the van. Now, one thing that we'll have to do, at the minute, the level isn't actually that accurate because the water tank is not a perfect cube. When you put water in, obviously the float moves quite quickly at first and then slows down because of the shape of this tank. There is a way in the Serbo GX where you can give more accurate points on the resistance of that tube. So, because at the minute, as the water goes down, as we use it, the level will go down quite slowly, and then all of a sudden it'll speed up when it gets to the bottom, because there's obviously nowhere near as much water in that bottom bit as there is in the rest of the tank. So I've not done that yet. What I need to do is I need to get an accurate way of measuring the water as I use it and input that data into the Serbo GX. At the minute, the water level goes down really, really slowly as we use it, and then we know if it gets to about 30%, we do not have a third of the water left. It's going to go quite quickly in that time. So just mindful of that. Now, another thing that needed doing, which I have done, is I needed to wire in the 12-volt pump. So that goes into this box here, connected via some Wago connectors, and the cable runs up, and I've actually run it all the way up to the kitchen area where I've actually installed this little switch, so you can actually turn the pump on and off. The reason we did that, actually, and this stems from our experience of using camper vans and motorhomes for many, many years now. When we were lent a Bailey, I think it was a Bailey Advance a while ago, the pump every now and again constantly kicked in, and it was underneath the bed, and it was really annoying. When you were trying to sleep, occasionally the pump would kick in. And what we had to do is we had to actually isolate the water pump, because it just woke us up all the time. I was a bit concerned that was going to happen with our system as well. So far it hasn't, which is great. And also the pump is really quiet. It would wake you up at night time if someone ran the pump. But I think because we've got that accumulator in there, that evens out the pressure, and it is just not kicking in. So it only kicks in when you actually turn the tap on, which is great. But I just wanted to have a switch in there just in case it did actually keep kicking in. But it doesn't, so it's good. Right, like I say, all that was required. I need to do all that plumbing, get the pump working and all that stuff before I could actually get the cold water tap working. But it works. So as you can see, this is all the way over to cold. And look at that. Cold water. So the reason that air is in there is just because I've been turning on the feed to the actual hot water tank. But as you can see, it works. You don't know how much of an enormous milestone that is for us. That is so good. It's incredible to actually have the tap working with cold water. What an incredible feat that we've managed to do there. It just stops us from having to carry around loads of jerry cans with us, and we can just actually fill our kettle up without having to decant it from a jerry can. It's enormous. However, now is the time to test whether we have hot water as well. Now this is a bit scarier because obviously I've got to see if this is going to work for starters, but also check for any leaks. Like I say, the drainage isn't working yet. I've not plumbed all that in, so I need to run it through this first. But now is the time to test whether we have hot water. Just check there's no leaks down here. No. Is this going to work? Let's see. A lot of air in the system. Oh, I can hear the water running through the pipes. Oh. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. There's a lot of gurgling going on. A lot of noises. Better just check it's not leaking down here. You can hear it getting closer, it sounds like. Oh! 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 Still cold, still cold. Right, let's just stop that for a second. Still cold at the minute. So much air in the system. Right, just empty this. The tank has lit up again, obviously, as the water's been replaced. So it's definitely not cold. Sorry, it's definitely not warm at the minute. Right, annoyingly, I think I've run out of water. I can hear the pump constantly running. I need to go and fill the water up. Right, I actually have to be careful here because there's a massive spider living on this gate. I saw it yesterday and it was living in the actual gate handle. So, pretty terrified of that. So the water is running down and filling up the tank. So I think the pump was just constantly running because it was trying to fill water into the water tank. So this is another good reason why it's good to have a switch to isolate that pump if you need to. It has stopped now. And the heating light is back on, so it's obviously trying to heat the water again. So there's just so much air in the system, it's just trying to purge all that out and then, yeah, get some hot water again. So, but thankfully, it doesn't look like there's any leaks at all. I tried to keep the connections down to a minimum. There's no leaks on those at all. That's good. They'll be clipped back as well. And you can see the drainage at the minute. It's just an open hole. So we do not want the water going out there. Whilst the water fills back up again, I just wanted to show you another thing that I've done. I've basically put this this tread plate on here just to protect the flooring as you get in and out, and that runs all the way along up to the edge there, which looks quite nice. And I've got another bit to do for the side door as well. I did try and build a shelf for here, like a curved shelf, but it didn't look very good, so I didn't use it in the end. I may have to find, I think I need to find some nicer wood to do it in, or just have a look online, see if there's anything that I can actually buy to put in that corner. Someone in the comments was really good and informed me that because I had the diesel heater control basically just lying on the floor until I could mount it somewhere, they informed me that they had done the same, but they kept catching it occasionally and it actually broke the back of the controller and it cost them a lot of money to get a new one. So I've taken that advice and mounted it just temporarily up on this bit of wood here, which just protects it a bit and yeah, just allows you to gain access to it. Another thing I've done as well is I've actually mounted this socket here, and this looks really nice. I used a bit of the worktop offcut that came with the actual kitchen, and I've extended it out a bit further out the back. This is a box that I actually bought, an angled box, which is spot on. Yeah, and I did try and build one of those, but getting the angles correct was really hard, actually, just because my miter saw will only do up to 45 degrees, and what I was trying to do was more than that. It just became really, really tricky. So I bought this box, mounted that, fixed it onto this bit of worktop, but then also mounted this worktop with braces underneath as well. So that's much more secure. And the beauty of it, by pure luck, is it's pretty much exactly the same height as that, which will all work when eventually we put drawers across this space here, and we have a nice flat surface for the blind, swell shades blind that will go down here. And yeah, that's another thing I should mention, actually. A lot of people have asked about what blinds that we have in our van, and I'm sure I mentioned it in a video before. Maybe I did, I can't remember. But these are from a company called Swell Shades. They're really, really good. You know, they're fantastic. They do loads of different colours. They fit perfectly to the van. Whatever van you've got, they fit perfectly, and they can even do custom ones as well. So if you want to use them maybe in like the small windows at the back, that kind of thing, they are perfect. So Swell Shades, highly recommend them. Those of you who are interested which tap it is from IKEA, it's the Almaran, that one. Right, it's the moment of truth again. I've just heard the element kick off, so it's stopped heating, so hopefully it's at temperature this time. We've got plenty more water in the actual tank. I've just filled that up, not all the way up, but about 70% full. Let's see if we have some hot water now. That's cold, 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 cold. Oh, it's getting warm. Warm, hot, hot. Ow. Ah! Yes! Oh! And then we can mix it with cold. Oh. Yes! Yes, 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 yes. Right, check the leaks. Still no leaks. No leaks over there. No leaks there. Oh, yeah, you can feel the pipes are nice and warm. This all looks fine. This is kicked back in again. Obviously, it started heating the water that has just been replaced by me opening the tap. There's no leaks anywhere. Need to keep an eye on this isolator. I think it's okay. A little bit of, I don't know if that's just left over from where I wiped it before, so I just need to keep an eye on that. So like I say, this is only when we're plugged in on mains hookup. I've not set it up yet for the DC side of things, but if you can see that, can you see the steam? Not sure if you can or not. It's too hard for me to see on this tiny camera screen, but there is steam coming off that. That is absolutely enormous. Oh, that is just fantastic. I think actually the hot water might have been, is that the last absolutely massive achievement? I think it might well be, because we've got the gas working. That just works whatever. We have gas. Obviously we've got all the electrics as well. That's all working. The solar is up. The gas is on. The diesel heater, that was a huge step. All the other water, the cold water, that was a huge step. Hot water is a huge step. I suppose probably actually getting a shower working, that's probably the next enormous step, which probably will be done in about 2030. But that is absolutely enormous. Like, we can actually, well, I suppose I've got to get the drainage done. That's quite a big step as well, isn't it, really? Yeah, there's still quite a lot to do. There's no denying hot water is an incredible feat here in this van. Right, well now I need to tidy up all those cables, get everything. Oh, I also need to fit a switch as well so I can turn that off. But that is fantastic. We've got a big summer trip coming up, and getting all these things ready for that is absolutely fantastic. So anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit that thumbs up button if you have, and please consider subscribing as well. Tons more left to do. Yeah, you lot watching these videos just keeps me motivated to keep working on this van and getting it done. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Cheers.